Okay, we're going live here any moment with my friend Irina Strembitsky, who is an awesome businesswoman and athlete. And I'm going to introduce her in a second, but I'm just letting a few people join. And I'm also working on my computer for 1 second to make sure I know what I'm doing here. Just trying to find my my Facebook link. Well, I might be able to go without the Facebook link. Let's see here. Just need to make sure I'm live though. Well, sorry about that. It's just a little confusing because there's a bug with StreamYard regarding Facebook, but I'm going to double check right now and make sure we're live on Facebook. And we're going to start talking any second here. I just want to see if where I can find that link. Do you know where the Facebook link is? All right, well, forget it. I'm just, here we go. Okay, now I see. StreamYard regarding Facebook, but I'm going to awesome. Double check right now and make sure we're live on Facebook. I found it. We're going to start talking any second here. Just had to mute that thing. Irina, can you hear me okay? And see me okay? Awesome. Yes. So we're streaming live here. This is my 8th live stream. It's extra special. We have Irina Strembitsky and then Ari Goldberger coming on. And although Irina looks like a supermodel, she's actually a great business lady. And she's also a fabulous athlete. She's going to tell us all about the things she does, a little bit about her background and what the future holds, how we're all going to make a ton of money in real estate and in business. And then we have and funny thing is that she sells real estate in South Florida. And my next guest is trying to buy real estate in South Florida just by a total coincidence. So I'm going to add him at the end of her stream and let her sell him a luxurious property. It has to be on the beach, really big, where we can all go and hang out and party. And it has to have a jet ski dock. So that's our homework assignment for the end of the stream. So anyway, we have an awesome show happening right now. And this is my friend Irina. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Mike. How are you?
Good. You don't look like you've been in quarantine. You have a big suntan.
You can't, it's accidental just walking around in South Florida and playing tennis. You know,
yeah, exactly.
Tennis is one of the safest activities, and I've kept doing it, you know, through the whole time.
It's awesome. Can you start us from the beginning, like where you're from, where your family's from, where you went to school, what you've been doing, how you got to South Florida, and then we'll talk about some other stuff.
Absolutely. So I'm kind of a world traveler. I grew up in the Ukraine. Well, I was born in the Ukraine, and then I grew up in Ohio, where I went to school at the University of Akron. I played Division I tennis. Actually went there with my best friends. So it was a fantastic time. You know, the tennis was wonderful. Stay close to family. You know, my background, my degrees in finance, but really from college, I've always stayed in the real estate, I would say verticals, some type of, you know, I started in property management. I then moved over to senior living, and now I'm doing real estate as far as, you know, residential and some commercial. I'm using a lot of my, I worked for an owner developer in senior living where we were developing, kind of selling the senior livings. So we have some nice, I have some nice prototype designs. There's still some opportunities in the market, you know, that I'm a fan of. So I've kind of always been in some sort of a residential, a property management field since college. But as far as South Florida, it's been my dream my whole life. It took me 15 years to get here, about approximately. I finally got here, took a 10-year detour in Atlanta, which is where I did most of my senior living and some property management. But as far as, you know, senior living, I worked in, you know, Louisiana, South Carolina, Alabama. So pretty much all, you know, many states throughout the South. So I'm really well versed in the different markets and some of the differences. But, you know, right now I'm in Delray Beach. That's my home and it's my love. I absolutely love it here. And, you know, currently, like I said, we're doing the real estate. Working with buyers, sellers, investors. I mean, there's such opportunity here in South Florida, not just for a second home, but also for an investment property. If you have, any substantial capital, there's some great opportunities for certain senior living products, such as, more an apartment style, 55 and over community. So we work with kind of buyers and sellers. We can, help you buy land, help you design a project. So really a variety of things that we're offering. I work with Coldwell Banker out of Delray, one of the top offices in Florida. I mean, this office does millions and millions of properties. Some of the top agent, a broker, Steve, is fantastic, worked all over the country. So this is really a strong team. So for buyers and sellers, you don't just, wouldn't just get me, you have the whole team of resources to make sure that your listing would be seen all over the world if you're selling with us. And if you're buying with us, we have access to pretty much everything. And a lot of, there's still great deals out there available. Now the market's hot, things are expensive, but there's still great deals available. And we have the resources to get those great deals to our clients.
Awesome. I'm going to do this again at the end, but for the time being, since we're on the subject, how would people reach you if they want to buy a house or get in touch?
Well, call me on my cell phone at 440-213-3300, 440-213-3300. And also, because I will input my information kind of maybe at the end of this, as well, my email, but just call me on my cell phone again, 440-213-3300, and then I'll provide you with any other information. But again, buyers, sellers, investment properties, some maybe property management. We can do a renovation project. We can do already a renovated project, and also if you have interest in some senior living development. I'm not a huge fan of developing assisted living and memory care now. I think it's kind of oversaturated. But if you have an interest in the means to do some 55 and up or independent living, I got some nice prototypes for you. And there's still definitely opportunities, especially down here in South Florida, to develop some of these. There's still opportunity zones. We have some opportunity zones available in Boynton Beach. I know it's going fast, but if that's something that investors want to do, it's right. We're running out of time, but there's still a few plots left to put up, one of those projects in one of those Boynton Beach opportunity zones. Which, for those who are not familiar, Boynton Beach is just a little north of Delray, a little south of West Palm Beach. But it's up and coming, and it's a booming town.
I mean, if you look at the history, Delray used to be a little less economically viable. It used to be not as many great restaurants and businesses. Atlantic Avenue there wasn't as much money. There was a lot more crime and shootings and things a long time ago at Atlantic Avenue. And I'm sure the government and other people put a lot of money into developing it and making it nice. So the next town north is Boynton Beach. It has a lot of promise. It has a beach. It has some pretty cool neighborhoods. So the theory is that you can push some money into these economic development zones and create the neighborhood, make it long-term, more viable, more tax money, safer, cleaner, nicer place to live, theoretically. Doesn't always work. When the economy turns, it tends to fall apart. And when the economy is good, it might work better.
Right, but I think, I'm actually very familiar with a lot of the part of Boynton Beach that's under the opportunity zone. I think that's already been developed. That is a good area. It's not where it's going to be, but I don't think that's as risky as some of these, Baltimore areas. It's not like that. This area is pretty nice. It's the beach. It's just still has a lot of opportunity, but it's already kind of, I would say, a good halfway there. And another thing about Delray and even Boynton versus even something like a Fort Lauderdale, where this is still a tourist destination. Now it's changing where it's now getting to be touristy and a lot of permanent people. But one thing you have as a backup is that let's just say if maybe the market goes down a little bit, there's still going to be all the opportunity for renting either annually or seasonally due to the tourist destination. So you kind of have a backup way you can't sell it for a big profit. You'll be able to rent it and keep making money that way, because the rentals are
Right.
just flying. If our clients aren't, if they're even thinking about it, like these rentals are gone in a couple of days for anything that's even things that are further out west. There's just very few rentals, and not just 6 months seasonal, 3 to 6 months seasonal is very popular, but also annual rentals, because it's actually, for what you get, it's very reasonably priced. These are not New York prices. I've lived all over the country, and I would say it's a little slightly higher, but it's fairly comparable to a higher pricing, to even South Carolina pricing, and not South Carolina Myrtle Beach, but South Carolina mid-state pricing. But you're here
Right.
close, couple miles from the beach. So
Yeah.
it's still a fantastic
Much
deal,
better.
and it's only going up, because the prices are not that high for this area still.
Absolutely. With respect to these opportunity zones, I mean, I think the word opportunity is important. It gives people an opportunity to potentially invest in an area that's not as good for a lower price, with a low price government loan or grant, and are given additional considerations by the government. But we all know that the government wastes money and messes up, 75% of the time. I'm just guessing. So probably, if I had to guess, 25% of those things are a good use of money. I'm totally guessing. I have no idea. I should research it. But my point is, the opportunity zone is a great opportunity if the people know what they're doing. But like in Palm Beach, they've spent a lot of money in these opportunity zones, and they're still like extraordinarily crime-ridden, dangerous neighborhoods, some of them. I'm not an expert on this, but I know a little bit about it. So.
No, absolutely. So I would say the projects that we're pitching as far as the senior living is in the Boynton Beach opportunity zones. That is where our focus is. That is where that particular area I've personally identified as a good opportunity for a midline senior living development, more of like an apartment style independent living, or 55 and up. That's not licensed, but provide meals and different things, housekeeping, utilities, kind of like an all-inclusive. And that is the area, Boynton Beach is the one that I'm focusing on, because not all so I don't have right now. That is where the projects that we are.
That's where the action is for opportunity. That's where the opportunities in opportunity is.
For this, because
the opportunities for
senior living development is so niche and so nuanced. You can't put it up anywhere, but that is the location I've identified personally, being and I've worked in senior living in that area myself, actually. So I've identified that area as, you can bring what you can do is you can bring a product to the market, $1,000 to $1,500 less a month for the customer, versus them going a few miles outside the opportunity zones.
Yeah, so exactly. All right. Let me ask you about other stuff, because we're going to talk all day about opportunity zones, but how am I going to ask you about other stuff? You can come on again the next time also. I'm going to have Ari come on, and you're going to sell him a mansion on the beach in a little bit. But I wanted to back up on, because you raced through a couple ideas before. We covered opportunity zones really well, but we didn't cover other stuff. So I'm going to ask you a couple other things, and then you're going to sell Ari a big ass house near me in Boca on the beach with a jet ski ramp. So I just want to go back to your background, so people know who you are and where you're coming from, other than the cool real estate stuff. You were born in Ukraine. Until what age? What age did you leave Ukraine?
When I was 9.
So why don't you tell us about Ukraine, what life was like in Ukraine, what your family does and did, and like how you ended up from Ukraine to Ohio?
Well, basically won a green card. Life in the Ukraine was great. I remember from about 6 to 9. My dad was a businessman. It was, I remember life being very good. I think, my parents wanted to give us some more opportunities. But again, our life in the Ukraine, we weren't fleeing some kind of extreme poverty. That wasn't really our situations. There was even times where my family contemplated going back. So it wasn't one of those fleeing, some type of a dangerous type of situation. It was just something to explore. And once we got here, kind of settled, started learning the language, it was just, my parents got jobs, went to school. I have one sister, we're so proud of her. She's a little sister. She's a superstar dentist in Ohio. So we're very proud. She's going to be buying up those practices, and also has, that I already spoken. She also has interest in, rental properties in Florida. So, so any type, like I said, business people up north, you don't have to move here yourself. You can have rental properties, get them managed, and that's income for you. And these properties are great investment. So my family's still in Ohio, but they love coming to see. I mean, they come every month, and my mom's actually looking to buy a property down here.
Nice.
In Delray.
Can she get a mansion on the beach too that we can visit next to Ari's, next door to Ari's house, so we can just walk right next door?
I'll tell her. Yes. So I mean, there's a lot of interest. Everyone that's come here that has, most people are not familiar with this Delray Boca area, but anyone that's come and visited, they have been so amazed at just this kind of like a hidden gem. That's why it was, Delray was voted best small city.
Hold on. You're changing subjects again. We're still on your background. So they decided it was a good idea to move to the United States in general. Why did they pick Ohio of all the places?
They didn't pick it. That was just where, there's basically international welcome centers set up throughout the country where, the people meet you at the airport and they kind of get you going, rent your place. So it really depends what space. It's a luck of the draw. We had neighbors back in the Ukraine. We had somebody that got to go to Sacramento.
You mean the unluck of the draw? The unluck of the draw.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kidding.
So Sacramento. We had another family that we knew went to Pittsburgh. One went to Milwaukee.
But nobody came to Boca.
No. These were, we don't know anyone that got assigned to South Florida. It was, Missouri. So a lot of times it's kind of like these destinations.
It's like you're in the witness protection program.
Yeah, it's almost like a kind of opportunity zone cities,
Yeah, seriously.
Want to be in.
But it worked.
Yeah, we don't know anyone that got. We don't know anyone that got to go any like a high price destination. It's all
right.
Missouri, and nothing to knock down those cities, but these aren't, so, and then you gotta, once you move, then you can go, after a while you can move wherever you want. So that's kind of how it happened.
Just to be clear, so you got a really good education there in Ohio, and then you went to college in Ohio. Then you started your career with real estate, and again, in the retiree home business, a lot of sales and marketing stuff. I'm going to ask you about a couple more things. Does that make sense so far, though? I have the story straight?
Yes.
I guess the two other things I want to ask you, and then I'm going to add Ari. I want to ask you about how you ended up choosing tennis and what your tennis career is about and what you've been doing with respect to tennis. Then I want you to tell me, because you're a sales and marketing expert, and a lot of the people watching are sales and marketing experts, what tools are you using? What's sort of your funnel, your lead flow? How are you getting leads, converting them? What sort of software do you use to keep track of it? That sort of thing. And then in 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to add Ari, and you're going to drill him. I'm going to actually add him soon to listen in. And then when you're done, he can start talking.
Well, tennis was probably the last option for me. So I'm going to start with those that, you can't really see on my video, but I'm 6 foot tall. I've always been a tall kid. And my favorite sport was gymnastics. So back in the Ukraine, there was tryouts and I wanted to do gymnastics. They looked at me and said, no, we didn't want to let me try out. So I got my dad, and my dad came to the school, and I got a tryout. And they said, no, you're too tall. You can't do gymnastics. No way. So that was so disappointing. So both of my parents are actually track athletes, really good track athletes. So my dad wanted me to do track. He took me to track, didn't like that. Then they thought it was boring. His favorite sport was soccer. He took me to try out soccer, hated that. So then we were watching TV and we were watching tennis. And I said, "Oh, I like those outfits. They look nicer than those soccer uniforms." So my dad said, "Fine, let's do the tennis." So tennis. So it was like the last sport. In the Ukraine, there wasn't as many options. I would say, if I knew this, I would be this tall, I would have played beach volleyball. But some of these volleyball, basketball weren't really premier women.
I need a pad.
In the Ukraine, so kind of what tennis and then this is love. I still play as much as I can to this day. It's really the only sport I've ever played. So personally, I watch sports, but I've never really played.
I mean, I know you play all the time. I know you play all the time. And then my friend Chris, I think he wants to, he thinks he's really great. He probably is, because I don't know anything about tennis. So I know he wants to challenge you. Uh-oh. Did I lose your stream? I'm going to have to remove Ari. Maybe I messed something up. Oh, Ari's here, but I lost Irina. Uh-oh. Hold on a sec. Ooh. Irina, something happened with. I'm going to try to find her because she's not done yet.
Hey,
buddy.
You good, Mike?
Hey, you got it. 1 second. Irina? Irina, can you hear me?
Yes.
He's not getting it anyway.
Sorry, we lost her. Ari, I'm going to mute you for 1 minute. Okay, Irina, I'm sorry. I don't know if we had a bad stream or whatever, but well, so yeah, you were telling me about tennis, that you went through a whole bunch of different iterations of different sports and things, and they had pretty outfits. So you got started at tennis, and I know you're very strong, and I know you practice every day, and you're a tennis superstar. So, I don't know if are you trying to do it for a career? Do you get paid, or it's just for fun? Uh-oh. Irina, can you even hear me? Oh, God. Irina.
No.
You can't hear me? Oh, my God.
You may have to control.
All right. Well, that's not good. Irina, do you hear me now? Hold on a second. Irina. Can you hear me, honey? Do you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes.
I guess when I add a third person, it kills the stream or something. I don't know. But in any case, I think we have a good idea about your tennis career. Are you going to get paid for it, or it's just for fun?
No, the tennis is just for fun, and I get to still wear the cool tennis outfits.
That's for sure. Cool. And the last thing I was asking you is just regarding your sales tools and your sales process.
Well, I would say with me, so you have the traditional sales where, it's just growing your pipeline, talking to people. But, and I got this from senior living and working all over the country and really targeting people from different states. I would say I'm big on digital. Always been, I believe in digital. There's certain industries that, heavily use digital marketing, and some industries that still rely on some of the door knocking. I would say I got into the digital marketing sooner than others. It was a big focus of mine in senior living because you just really can't reach the amount of people you can, door knocking. So I'm a huge fan of videos, Facebook, really keeping your websites up to date so people don't have to call you for every little thing. You have
Sure.
They can things online. They can watch a video. See the price, see some information for themselves. So, and then kind of know that if they go further, they can contact you. And also, especially in a state, which is, I would say, a relocation destination, you can't really reach door knocking, know who you are. So we're really kind of investing in a lot of, digital marketing. A lot of it is going to roll out a new campaign. I'm personally rolling out a new campaign, and to really kind of let some people up north and the Northeast and some parts of Pennsylvania just know, how great of a market Delray and Boca and just Palm Beach County is, and
Okay.
what are their options.
Well, so I'm going to add Ari, but we might not have a good connection, so I might end up dropping you before we solve the thing. But I'm going to try to add him and have you.
Me, Mike. It was great to be on. I really appreciate it. If I get dropped, it was nice talking to you today.
You did a wonderful job. I really appreciate you coming on, and you're welcome to come back on in the future and tell us more stuff.
That.
I'm going to try to add Ari. I'm definitely adding Ari, and hopefully you guys can talk for a few minutes. So again, there's two interesting things. One is that he wants to move to your area and buy a house, and you're a real estate agent, coincidentally. I didn't put you guys on the same day on purpose. It's just a coincidence. The other funny coincidence is you're about my most conservative friend, and he's about my most liberal friend. So two funny points. So I'm going to try to add him, and you guys can talk about whatever. And if it doesn't work.
But you know how
honey?
you are. We're not huge fans of politics as is. You know what I mean? We kind of believe both sides are corrupt. So
that's big. I think
everyone's more common than they think.
Yeah, I mean, when we're all being rational and not drinking and whatever, we can all agree on a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. But I mean, Ari is much less rational than you, I can assure you. So just kidding. He's my buddy. We like to argue a lot. But we had a political discussion early this morning already. So in any case, I'm going to add him, and he needs a big ass house in Boca on the beach with a jet ski ramp. So here you go. Ari? Uh-oh, wait, you're on mute. There you go.
Hi. Hello, Irina. Nice to meet you. I see you're wearing the Zeppelin shirt there. Oh, we lost Mike. Are you still there, Mike?
I'm still here.
All right. I look shorter than everybody. So nice to meet you, Irina. Mike, I see you're wearing a Led Zeppelin shirt there. A whole lot of love to you, buddy. So the area, I know the area very well. I was actually hooked on Miami, South Beach for a while. But was it Delray over the holidays? Actually, I stayed in Miami and I drove to Delray.
Don't hear anything.
You don't hear anything. She doesn't hear me. Do you hear me?
Tell Mike he's on mute.
Mike, you're on mute.
No.
Mike.
I hear you fine. We're having some trouble with her stream though. I don't know if it's hard to add three people at the same time.
Yeah.
You can't.
I got to readjust myself here.
Irina, you can watch on Facebook and then comment and type if you want. You want to try that? She can't even hear me.
No.
Okay, well, you can talk, Ari, and she can watch on Facebook. I'll message her. I'm gonna drop her so she can not interfere with herself here.
I'm wearing shorts now. Hey, so
yeah, go ahead, and you can still talk about the market space, and she can still hear you on.
Yeah, I was just in. I stayed in Miami over Christmas, pre-COVID, and I drove to Delray just about every day to play pickleball at the Delray Beach Tennis Club, and it's just a great place to be. And I also stayed in Boca, and I played pickleball at the courts at the, I think, Woodfield. Is that what we said it's called? Woodfield Development.
Club, yeah.
Kind of hooked on the whole country club scene and everything, and very nice. But I don't have to have beach at the house. Beach at the a house on the beach. Anyway, let's talk about domains, Michael. Since it doesn't appear that I'm going to be able to engage in a conversation with Irina. I think she did a nice job, and good to see you, Michael. Very, very good to see you. Let's talk about how we ever got connected in this crazy world of domains. How's that sound?
Okay, but I need you to go even further than that, like where you're from, about your family, and then go into how you met me and went into business.
All right. Well,
briefly.
That's hard. There's a lot there. Well, I like, as far as my parents are concerned, first of all, I'm first generation American. I'm what you call an anchor baby. My parents came over on a caravan from Israel after surviving the Holocaust. My parents come from Krakow, Poland, where before the war there were 60,000 Jews. And after the war, there were only 3,000 Jews. And my parents were two of them. So here I am, 5% meets 5%. What were the chances I even existed? About one in 1 in 20 or less, or 1 in 25. And I speak for a lot of people that aren't here. My grandfather, my mother's father, was a famous artist, one of the last modern artists of Poland. He painted Jews and Gypsies, and he painted their kind of alienation. And that's where my politics comes from. I grew up in a small town called Vineland, New Jersey, kind of like a farm town where there were a lot of immigrants from Poland, survivors, and also people from Russia that came over early part of the 20th century. I went to Wharton undergrad, the same school that the president went to, so I must be smart like him. And I took some time off after Rutgers, and I went to after Wharton, and I went to Rutgers Law School where I earned a degree. I spent 5 years at a big fancy law firm in Philadelphia, one of the top litigation firms, Pepper Hamilton. Great place to work, but it wasn't for me. I was an entrepreneur. When I was there, I said, you know what? I want to work on my own. I went to law school to work for the little guy, and I wasn't doing it there. So I came with an idea for an online law firm, and I called it Esquire, ESQWIRE. And we're at esquire.com, by the way. And it wasn't going to be a domain name law firm at the time. It was going to be a virtual. I called it your firm away from firm, enabling small practitioners to share an infrastructure through an electronic network. At the time, I knew about AOL and CompuServe. There was nothing like this. The internet wasn't there yet because this was 1994. In 1996, I remember I was in Central Park. I'll never forget, with a woman who was working at a Cohen Leibowitz, a pretty big intellectual property firm. Mike's shaking his head because he probably has letters from them. That we'll get to that in a second. But she said, you know this internet thing, you need to go get your domain name. I'm like, really? I can get my domain name? She's like, yeah, you gotta contact Internic. I'm like, okay, whatever. I registered. You know how I registered my domain name, Mike? I registered by calling up Internic on the phone, and I said, is Esquire available? And they said, yeah. And I was like, wow, that's great. I'll take it. Within a couple months, I also filed a trademark with the USPTO for the trademark Esquire. And I'll never forget, in September of, I guess it was 95, I received an office action from the Hearst Corp. I didn't even really know who they were. I came to learn that they are the biggest magazine publisher in the US, publisher, of course, of Esquire magazine, Cosmopolitan, you name it. And they were up against me for a trademark. And I participated in that. But once they found out I had the domain name, they filed a federal action against me in the Southern District of New York. And, I was actually excited about it. I was like, wow, this company has something that I want. The company of William Randolph Hearst, the guy featured in the movie, or the guy characterized in the movie Citizen Kane. I was ready for a battle. I said, this is my opportunity. I told my dad, he's like, they want to see you for $1 million. You're excited about that? I said, yeah. And I went into the partners at Pepper. God bless them. They supported me. They thought, first of all, they said, I'm the first guy that got sued for $1 million. I was happy about it because I knew that if they were going to the trouble of it, I had something good. I also, by the way, felt that I had something strong. And I defended that case on substantive and what's called procedural grounds. The procedural grounds were that they sued me in New York. And they said that they had jurisdiction because they were able to, quote, I'll never forget it, access the site through the district. So, I argued, well, yeah, you can access it from anywhere. I didn't come to you. You came to me. Imagine me as a billboard across the Hudson River in New Jersey, and you had the binoculars. You saw me. Tough luck. You got to come to me. So that was the argument, that they did not have what's called personal jurisdiction. And who would know? I studied that subject in civil procedure in law school, and everybody that's a lawyer knows all about the case of International Shoe, where they established that a court only has power over you if you've done something in that district. In other words, you can't sue me in Pennsylvania unless Pennsylvania has a right to do something about it, right? I didn't take advantage of Pennsylvania. I didn't go there. They can't come. They can't do anything to me. So I said, I created that website in Cherry Hill, and the Hearst Corporation or their lawyers access that website from servers that are in North Carolina. And if you're going to find jurisdiction in the Southern District for my website created in New Jersey, then you can find jurisdiction in any place in the country for any website anywhere in the world or anywhere in the United States. So I won that case, and it's a famous case now, Hearst versus Goldberger. I remember being in law school just for the F of it, going on Westlaw and searching for my name and see if there were any family members sued or whatever. And Goldberger never came up, that's for sure. But now if you search for internet jurisdiction in New York, Hearst versus Goldberger is like cited in all the cases now. So I'm proud of that. I handled that case myself, and thanks go out to all the lawyers at Pepper that stood behind me and helped me out. It was very nice of them. But my time in it was 1997. It was June of 1997, and my time at Pepper was over. It's time for me to move on. I got contacted by a company in New York called iName. What were they doing? They were doing vanity email addresses, crazy names like you at CyberDude, you at this or that. They hired me to be there because of the notoriety from the Esquire case. They heard about me. They hired me to be their vice president of business development and general counsel. So I got to handle both ends of the business. First of all, I didn't know what fucking vice president of business development even was. As a lawyer, I thought it was like, you know, I'm going to be developing properties or something. I didn't like to hit. But I quickly learned, and what they wanted me to do was protect and enhance their portfolio of domain names, which were supposed to be the greatest in the country. We were buying them up. And the company, iName, was owned by a bigger one called Globecom. And I remember we had the Globecom 500, and I'd be trying to buy all these names, seeing who had them. Ultimately, I was responsible for the purchase of London.com, Britain.com, Mail.com, Calendar.com, Tokyo.com, Japan.com, on and on and on and on and on and on and on. It was a blast. Unfortunately, I was right in the center of all of it, but because I worked for the company, I really couldn't get any names for myself. But luckily they approved a few. I happened to hand registered spacetravel.com and spacetrip.com. Although Elon Musk hasn't offered me enough money for it, he's a cheapskate, but a brilliant man. Anyway, I worked at mail.com. We went public. It was a lot of fun. One of the coolest things I did was register every sports team with fan after it, and every famous musician with fan after it. Phillies fan, Eagles fan. Actually was able to sign deals with 7 NFL teams. And I got a call from the NFL one day. They say, listen, we like what you're doing, but you have to do it with us. The team said, no, it's like a concession. We get to run that. And the NFL saying, no, it's ours. And they're all fighting over this stupid thing that means nothing today. Damn email. It's like, what? Yeah, me at RaidersFan.com. Like, that's going to be the email I'm going to use. Like, not me. Gmail didn't even exist at the time. But Mail.com did. So anyway, we went public. And after we went public, I remember it was April of 2000. And the market was crashing. And I was like, you know what? I'm out of here. I'm going to go back to Cherry Hill. I'd married my wife, Sharon, and we lived in Cherry Hill with kids. I moved to New York from Mail.com, came back after all of that, and I just started running Esquire, representing the biggest domain name owners in the world. All the biggies that grabbed all the names. Mike knows all of them. The guys that knew the trick at Network Solutions, that when names were dropping, I'm not giving any secrets out now, but names were on hold if the registry didn't pay the renewal fee. And there were tons of them. Search for names on hold. And Network Solutions would eventually drop those names and they'd be available for registration again. And so people would check what's called the Who Is records. There's only one Who Is, there's only one register back then, to see if it was available. You do the Who Is every day and, oh, it's not available. Boy, let me go run and register it. But the smart people, as Michael was smiling there, knew that the Network Solutions payment system dropped the name the day before it was publicly shown on the Who Is. So if you went into the payment system to try and pay for the name, and if it wasn't there, you knew the name was going to drop the next day, or a big drop was coming. We used to call them waves. And I represented those people that had a lot of those names. It was a lot of fun, and it got me into a lot of cool things. Domains have been very good to me. It's been a lot of fun, and that's how I met Michael. Back in, I would say it was probably around 2000. Mike was running Buy Domains, one of the best, huge inventory of domain names. And I remember that it's coming to me now. I think that the first case she came to me was it something like Broadcast News or News Service or something, Michael? Do you remember? Nah, but that, you know, Michael's man on the town, his #1 man, my good friend Brian Taft, came to me. That's who I was dealing with back then, and won a number of cases for Michael. One of the landmark cases was Hood.com, Milk Company. And, you know, by domains registry is a common word, hood, you know, it's the thing of a car. It's what some white nationalists wear, unfortunately. It's hard to make that little side there because Mike, yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's Mike's white hood. That's right. Hey, black shirts matter. Hey, and I don't mean to undermine that. All lives matter. Blue lives matter. The problem in society with cops is that there's too many guns out there, and the police are out there putting their lives on the line with children at home and their wives. And I have the utmost respect for all police. Unfortunately, there is a morale hazard where the police would, you know, it's just naturally going to attract people that want to be bossy. And, you know, it's just in every business. I mean, domains, Mike is an example. You got your bad guys, you got your good guys. Like me, I'm just kidding, Michael. Michael's a good example as a human being and as a domainer. So we won that hood.com case. We established some really cool things, which were that the mere registration of a common word domain name, a word existing in the dictionary, establishes the registrant's legitimate interest in the domain name. And once you establish that, that's the end all be all on what's called the Uniform Domain Name Dispute Resolution Policy. A policy that's an administrative policy that's been in existence since 2000. I've handled several hundred cases there, and it's a very nice process. Everybody that registers a domain name agrees to be bound by the UDR. People don't know it, but what it means is anyone with a trademark that's identical or confusingly similar to your name can file an action against you. You can defend it by establishing that you registered the name with legitimate interest. They have to prove that you, in addition to lack of legitimate interest, that you registered it in bad faith and that you used it in bad faith. Well, with hood.com, we not only established that the mere registration of a domain name is a legitimate interest, we also established that the sale of domain names is also a legitimate business practice that establishes a legitimate interest. So we won several cases for Michael. I remember I lost one for you in the net learning case. Was it net learn? No, it was, anyway, I don't remember the case. I only remember the ones that I won.
But I'm sure it's very easy on you about
You're what? Easy?
I'm sure it's very easy on you about losing.
Easy on me, not easy on you. We don't like to lose. We're very competitive.
No, I'm saying I'm just joking. I'm saying I'm sure I probably had something to say about losing, you know.
Yeah, you hired another lawyer.
Good. Now I feel better about losing.
Yeah, there we go. You got something out of it. So it was a hard fought case. You know, you know, we won like 90% of the cases that we thought we were going to win, but every now and then you get a bad case. And
yeah, you have an excellent record, you know. So I mean, if people do have domain name disputes and they can afford Ari, I would recommend they hire him.
Thanks. We have a good team. Sorry, I'm just trying to adjust myself. We have a good team here. Jason Safer handles a lot of our cases now. He's very active with ICANN, and yeah, people will be well taken care of. So at the time, in addition to doing the law, so I had a lot of clients that own domain names, and I remember it's like, I think it was also, maybe it was like 2001 that I found out that there was a company called GoTo. And with GoTo, you could point your traffic to GoTo and they paid you money. They had something called pay-per-click advertising. They were the first. Who heard of that? They were out of Seattle. And I remember we pointed one of my clients' names there, and the first check that first month was $30,000. We're like, wow, this is like found money. So we started telling all these other domainers, hey, point your names to us. And this is a business, like we talked about this probably in 2002, that, you know, we could have run the world back then. But ultimately, Overture, GoTo became Overture, and then Overture was acquired by Yahoo. The company that did the wonderful pay-per-click business, they invented it. They invented Google AdWords, was applied semantics. Guy named
but they also licensed my patent, our name find patent that they merged into their results. Basically, they didn't want to license it, but I forced them to because they were using the stuff we invented. The sad part is they got $1 billion and I got like that. Yeah,
good guys finish last. But yeah, they had a good play there. You know, you've had some good hits, that's for sure. But so anyway, that business actually became a business. I got it hooked up with a guy named Larry Fisher. He's also another domainer, a good friend of mine. And Larry said, you know, let me go bring people in. Let me bring more and more in. Before you know it, by 2000, I think it was 2004, 2005, we had about 150 people pointing domain names to us. We were doing 30 million visits a day. We were doing 1% of Yahoo's advertising business. And boy, man, really making good money. It was a wonderful time. I mean, to be able to call someone up and say, look, you got all these domains and traffic, we can make money for you, for people to spend money. There's one guy who lived up in Boston, and we saved him from losing his house. He had no idea that he could, and you know, domainers don't sell their domains. Well, some people do. I mean, Matt and Mike ran by domains, of course. So we created a smart name and then sold it in 06 to the same company that bought by domains, Demand Media or Yes Direct or whatever the hell they call themselves.
And they got Name Media, which is really
right.
It's Name Media, and it's really just an expression of Highland Venture Capital.
Right. Right.
And venture partners just created a shell to put my company in, then your company,
right.
Then the After Nick company. They bought that. That was a tiny little company. So they merged all those guys together, essentially. And so we're part of the same company, except for neither of us worked there, but our companies got merged together.
I guess we're related by marriage.
Well, welcome to my family, for better or worse.
Yeah, and you know, it's like people have like written the obituary for domain name value for 20 years. Isn't that right, Mike? I mean, after the first .com boom, people call about domain name and say, "What do you think this is 1999?" And I'm like, no, but you know, Frank Schilling knew that it was 2003 and was buying up domains, and you didn't get out of business either.
It's the best .coms. I mean, there's a huge number, and that's how people get confused. Is they confuse those as being investments, but there are, you know, a small number out of the hundreds of millions that were registered. There's maybe like 10 or 20 million that have a resale value. And the point is that it's like investing in a great stock on Wall Street. It might go up and down each year, each week, each quarter, but over 10 or 20 years, it's going to significantly go up. As long as you're talking about the best.com, everything else is a significant risk. But if you invest in the very best.com domains, you can sell them in the short term or in the long term, monetize them, build them. They're excellent investments. And so everybody was wrong the whole time when they predicted that would go away.
Yeah, I mean, over the last 20 years, I think I've done about $100 million in total transactions. Close to that. Not done. I mean, I've been involved either as a lawyer, generally as a lawyer. But yeah, names, I have a list over here. Names like autoparts.com, kitchen.com, marketing.com, MD, medical supplies, tourism, woman, hot dogs. We, in 2005, with the money that was being made by my clients in domains, we put it right back in. We put it right back into buying domains. We bought home.com from a Japanese company, design gadgets, you name it. I mean, AIDS.com of all things. A lot of medical names. So we have these names, and we're always doing deals, and you know, it's a waiting game for the right people to come along. But we have there are a lot of other names too. You know, one of the interesting things about names is I think that for a company, a startup, for example, looking for a brand, right? You don't just want a domain, you want a brand. And I think some of the best names for that are names that are common words that aren't used a lot, right? Like Amazon. It's not normally, it's, you know, you talk about Amazon, forward to Amazon River. And because of that, you don't have to say .com after it, right? There's companies where you have to say .com, and some places where, you know, the .com makes sense, where it's a generic word. But, you know, an example, a client owns a domain, Colossus.com, right? Everybody knows that the word exists, but you never use it. You never use it. So you could call your company Colossus. To be able to have a complete brand that no one can ever else have and own that word, essentially. You own that effing word forever. And you get the trademark and you get the Instagram. Boom. Now, you know, there's all kinds of examples of the great names. And, you know, having been doing this, Mike and I, for all these years, we kind of have like a little bit of a feel. It's just fun. I feel so lucky to have fallen into this. You know, I started at the beginning to tell you how I did. I don't know what else I would do. I'd probably be mowing lawns or something, because law by itself is just kind of boring. And domains are, it's interesting. It's not rocket science, which I like, you know, that, you know, Elon Musk can do that stuff, even though it's space travel. And anyway, I've talked a lot here without you asking me questions, Mike. Is that enough of a background for me? Or do I got to tell you about the shit that I've been through over the past few?
It's up to you. I mean, in like 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to do domain appraisal training, which you can hang out for. But the rest of the time is for you to talk about anything you want. If you want me to ask you questions or whatever.
Let's talk about what we were talking about this morning, political wise.
Okay.
You know, I was telling Mike how I just got a Portuguese water dog puppy. If I was home, I'd bring little what's his name, Louis out. I have to get a picture of him on my phone. I don't know, but I posted. I found that an amazing thing. I post a lot of anti-Trump stuff, and I've had a lot of attacks that I've made against Trump people. You name it. Mike knows it. I'm dramatic. He calls me a drama queen. I wear that. You know what? I'll wear that with a badge of honor. I'll put my fucking high heels on. I don't give a shit. I'm not gay, but I don't mind being a drama queen. You know, it's
you don't actually have to be gay to wear high heels. It's like I think Bruce Jenner supposedly isn't gay.
I don't know about that. You should see my bar mitzvah pictures, man. I got some big platforms. But you know, speaking of platforms, I've really gotten up on my soapbox. I remember in 2000, it was probably 1992. It was like 1996, 90, no, it was 1997, 98, 1998. The Monica Lewinsky thing with Clinton and the impeachment. All right. First of all, I just wanted to make a funny point. The impeachment of the last two presidents who were impeached, Clinton and Trump, at the center of those impeachments in both cases was a Jew with INSKY at the end of their name, right? Monica Lewinsky and Zelensky of Ukraine. And I thought that was funny. You know, we're into everything. But nevertheless, it was 1997, and a wonderful, charming client, friend by the name of Warren Royal, who was smart enough. Warren Royal's a great story. Warren was one of the early domainers. He had all these great names. He would sell cheap, though. I remember this one guy. He would sell a lot of his names. He sold a lot of his names to this guy Igal, may he rest in peace. And he sold all his names, and he kind of regretted it after he did. And I can understand that. But Warren came to a domain show after that. He got back into the game. And this brilliant guy, he bought two names. One was someplace in Louisiana, I forget. Some geographic one, but the more important one that he bought was bobbleheads.com. And Warren, I think he's the #1 supplier of bobbleheads in the country now. He's got like forklifts, and he's making them himself. And it's just wonderful. But I talk about Warren because Warren had across all of the domain names, you know, that he was monetizing at the time. He put up a little banner that said "Impeach Clinton." So I called him up, or I emailed him and said something. You know, why are you doing that? You know, and I was a big Clinton, you know, groupie. You know, I was definitely one of those little girls, Clinton mania. You know, I loved him. I was on the advance team for the the day after the convention. I was grassroots in communications with Stephanopoulos and Carville and sending these guys advice. It was crazy. Anyway, I was offended by that. And Warren said to me, he's like, listen, you want to do business with me? Let's not involve politics. So it was from 1997 until 2016. I never posted anything political on Facebook. And then, Donald Trump came along. And let me tell you a little interesting story about Donald Trump, because I'm really proud of this. I just recently got the Michael Cohen book. I got the signed edition, one of the 10,000. But in 2010, I had a client, and he owned a domain name TrumpForPresident.com. Do you know the story, Mike? Did I tell you the story? Oh, wow. So he came to me, and he said, I need your help. The Trump lawyers just pressured me to sell them TrumpForPresident.com for like $2,500. I'm like, yeah, that's worth much more than that, because this guy had registered politics2012.com, and he registered everybody for president, everybody that was possibly running for president in 2012. And he didn't want to sell it. And he told me some interesting facts, like he had been to the dentist that morning, had root canal, and he was still under the influence of the drugs that they gave him, and that they pressured him, and he didn't want to do it. So I got him out of that contract, but it really pissed off Michael Cohen. Got a big letter, and Cohen went after the guy's employer because the Trump organization used this guy's employer. And Michael Cohen calls up the guy and then conferences in the head of personnel at the employer and just kind of put that kind of like pressure on. Well, I used that all against them. I said, what you did was you caused that person to violate their own privacy policy, and you did something simply to harass. And I threatened him with New York professional responsibility violations, and they backed down, and that was cool. So he kept Trump for president. It's owned by some other guy. I don't know if it's owned by someone supporting him or not. It doesn't matter. I still have that letter that I wrote to Michael Cohen where I said, listen, I actually have a great deal of respect for Mr. Trump. He's a successful entrepreneur, and I couldn't imagine that Mr. Trump would endorse this type of behavior, because I know that if he wants to run for, I know he'd want to respect freedom of speech and all that. And by the way, I wasn't being sarcastic. All I knew about Trump was that, I met him first. Well, I didn't meet him, but when I was at Wharton in 1984, he got the award for Young Entrepreneur of the Year. He was there with his wife then, Ivana, and at least two of the kids, Ivanka, I think, and maybe Donald Trump Jr. And they were like up there on the stage, a small, group of maybe 100 people. So it was pretty cool. Young guy. He was really good looking back in the day. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, actually, I saw him back. I was on a boat at a boat race in Atlantic City, and he was walking onto his yacht next door at probably about the same time. He had this really bright blue outfit, a huge yacht.
I gotta believe that he looks back at those days as the good times.
Yeah, no kidding. He wants to go back. He could do whatever he wanted before social media.
In Margate worked for him, older guy, Tony. They called him the old man. He knows everything. He doesn't talk, but he said there were some interesting times there. In any event, in 2016, I just wasn't buying a lot of the. In addition, I could say that I did prevail in a couple Trump domain cases. I think Trump Furniture and Trump Coffee, but I lost Trump Ice. Anyway, TrumpIce.com. But anyway, because he was coming out with some beverage or something. But in any event, in 2016, I wasn't buying a lot of the, this Mexicans are rapists. Jesus Christ, the Mexicans I know, first of all, these guys work harder than ever. They're friendly. I love them, and that's a stereotype. They're successful entrepreneurs. I represented the owner of Mexico.com.
It's not even a real stereotype. Trump made up that stereotype.
Ron Schwartz, who on Mexico.com, I represented him and won that case against the government of Mexico. These stereotypes, these racist stereotypes. I'm reading a great book called the Sapiens, and it talks about the myth of how we created, men are strong, men are better at this than women. I was just looking at a Mad magazine I have at my house, 1960, and it's with Kennedy, character of Kennedy on the cover, and it has all of the news people, and they're all these guys with mustaches and cigars. There's not a woman in sight, and that wasn't a characterization. That's how it really was,
right.
Which I think is fascinating. So we have these stereotypes that are myths: men and women, blacks and whites, Jews. Jesus fucking Christ. No pun intended, or whatever, because Jesus was Jewish, of course. It's funny. Jesus was Jewish, and his mother had to be Jewish, right? Right. And then I said to somebody, well, and anyhow, Jesus was right. He was Jewish. He's Hebrew. He wasn't Christian. Jesus was never Christian. Do you know that?
Of course, he can't be Christian because Christianity is about him. The followers of him are Christians. He can't be a follower of himself.
Right. It's a whole. We don't get into religion because politics.
That's like us saying I'm a follower of Mike Mann. I can't really be a follower of Mike Mann. It's a little weird.
What do you say?
He can't be a Christian because that'd be following himself.
Exactly. Well, it wasn't created until afterwards.
Well, we're in the weeds every time you did, bro.
The whole thing about Jesus and Savior. The Jews have always been waiting for the Savior. They just didn't think this was the right guy. Personally, they didn't go for the hairstyle. Probably. It's way too radical. But in any event, wow. So yeah, I wasn't going for the racism. mainly, and just the lying and all the bullshit. And I started talking about it. And Mike and I got heated. I, kind of accused him of being a Trump supporter because of the fact that he wasn't supporting the other side. Let me say the 2016 election from the Democrat side was one of the worst elections ever. It's an example of a party just screwing themselves because they went with a loser from the prior campaign 8 years ago, and she was less known and less attractive, less charismatic, and vulnerable to all kinds of criticism from all of those years in office. And why did they go? Why did the Democratic Party, the DNC, support Hillary Clinton? Because that was their job. Bernie Sanders wasn't going to hire all of her sycophants, so we fucked up. Am I allowed to say that on this?
Too late now.
So yeah, we the Democrats effed up, I should say. Anyway,
Bro,
posting a lot of stuff, and it made a lot of enemies and made a lot of people block. I'm sorry. Yes.
Focus in, and we're going to move on to domains in a minute.
Okay, so I'll go back. So anyway, I've stopped. So we were talking about politics. Mike and I had some disputes recently. I found that posting pictures of my puppy Louie got a hell of a lot more comments and a hell of a lot more likes and hearts. So I posted a thing. I said, you know what? Pups instead of politics. Pups, not politics.
Well, again, Ari's on an extreme wing of the liberals, but I'm middle of the road.
Listen, I'm in the middle of the party. I'm not with the left of the party. It's not true. I am a partisan Democrat in the middle, moderate. I want the capital gains tax to stay where it is or even go lower. I like investment tax credits. I believe in fiscal policy to stimulate business. I believe in empowerment.
It's like asking crazy people if they think they're crazy. Like, yeah, of course you're not an extremist. Not you. Nobody's an extremist.
Neither party's going to solve our problems with the way they've been doing business. We need to reinvent government. We need to think outside of the box, and we need to end corruption. And I like the idea that Mike has about a new party, a party controlled by the moderates on both sides, a party that believes and understands that united we stand, divided we fall. Our two-party system divides us in such a way that it forces us to choose sides in a tribalistic fashion. I'm for the Eagles, I'm for the Giants, and we clash, but we still agree on most things.
I'm for a team that has no name. How do you feel about that?
Fair enough, but yeah, totally.
Washington, nobody knows what they're called.
Eliminate the party system altogether. Do we need the parties anymore with the internet?
No.
Can you imagine? Yeah, that could be interesting.
We need to have a party and not a party system.
What we have right now is not working. It doesn't make us happy, right? The Declaration of Independence says we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal and entitled to and endowed by the Creator with certain inalienable rights. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And guess what? This COVID crisis, we're not getting life. Some people think they're being denied their liberties through what government's doing on the right, and I understand that. And certainly, we don't have happiness. The experiment is failing, and we need to do something better. So let's see what happens. I say unity is the word, and I send out love and peace to all my Republican colleagues out there, and an olive branch to Michael, who is a mudraker and against corruption. I understand your life.
I am a mudraker, but I'm not a Republican, and I'm very much anti-racist, obviously.
Yeah, good. Well, we share that in common. We're anti-racist. I think we should. You can't just be okay, because you think about the inner cities and it's just we've allowed this to happen and to our detriment, to everyone's imagine if we really had a true reconstruction after the Civil War and we started integration back then. I mean, I'll tell you, my kids don't know the difference between black and white. It doesn't matter. Remember the song in the 70s, a child is white, a child is black, together they learn to read and write? Okay. No. I'll sing. Listen, if you ever want me to,
I got to keep you focused because you
lead the conversation. This is your show, Mike. Let's go.
No, it's all cool. I appreciate everything I appreciate everything you've said, except for I just told the people I'd do the domain name appraisals. That's the only reason.
You want me to leave or you want me to go?
No, you can stay. As long as we don't have any trouble with the broadcast, you're welcome to stay. I just wanted to see if you had anything else you wanted to conclude with before I start the domain name appraisals.
I hope this is the start of a regular thing with us, Mike. I think we can have a lot of fun together, learn from each other. The different points of view are, I think, helpful to a lot of people. They need to hear both sides talking in a way that isn't clashing, that isn't attacking, and I am ready for that. I'm ready for that. You know why? You know some reasons why, but it's time to come together, as the Beatles say. You know.
Absolutely, buddy. And this is the beginning of, we're bringing the left, the right, and the middle. We had Irene on one side, me in the middle, you on the other side, and I'm bringing you guys together, most importantly, to buy a mansion in Boca that we can hang out and party at, and secondly, to make world peace with the left and the right.
All right, both of those things. Yeah, man. So I want to get in touch with Irene to send me your information.
Yeah, cool. Okay, well, I'm going to leave you on here as long as it doesn't interrupt, like we don't have trouble with the actual broadcasting.
Someone else
we're going to start doing domain name appraisal. You're welcome to talk or to say whatever you want.
Okay, cool.
So the first thing I need to do is share my screen. So I'm going to figure out how to do that, and then we're going to start doing domain name appraisals. So just to remind everybody, some of the basic ideas behind the domain name appraisal is that we're doing this just using Google at the moment. So when I do it, normally speaking, I have a whole bunch of tools and a whole system, a whole bunch of programmers. Plus, we have a company, AccurateAppraisals.com, that does domain name appraisals. And the way we do it there is we have 3 experts, world experts at domain appraisal, which includes me. So I run my appraisal, 2 other people run their appraisal, and then the customer gets the average back, and that shows up on a professional certificate. So that's actually literally the best domain appraisal in the world, because we have tools and 3 people, and we, again, give the average and we give a certificate. But what I'm going to do right here is a totally legitimate manner using Google, which is the best information is Google. There's tons of other information, but Google's easy and it's the best. So we can get a lot of leverage by studying certain aspects of our domain names within Google.
Hey,
So
Mike?
can you, yeah, bro.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I was talking about the law firm and stuff. Can I just plug my email address in here? If anybody wants to reach out to me.
You can put everything in there. You can put anything you want. Your email address, your politics, your website, post whatever you want.
ARI@esqwire.com. All right, Esquire. If you have a question,
dude, post it in the comments.
Right here. Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine. But the only thing is, I'm trying to figure out how to do this. Okay, can you guys see my screen, the Google screen?
Yes.
Okay, nice. Okay, so now I'm going to do some domain name appraisals. So again, the first thing I'm doing is disambiguating the name. In other words, I need to figure out what it means. The next thing I'm doing is looking at the breadth, how many people might purchase it. And the next thing I'm looking at is the depth. As the most wealthy buyer, how much does he need it and how much might he pay for it? That would be the depth. The other buyers don't matter as far as measuring the depth. So we need to know the breadth, how many buyers, and the depth of the one best buyer. So anyway, I'm going to look at my list here and see what you guys posted in here as far as domains that need to be appraised. And I have another list too if we run out here, but I'll do this for like 15 minutes. So Hal Yaffe has shiptoys.com, so I'm going to appraise shiptoys.com. Toyships.com probably sounds better. But anyway, I do everything in quotations so we get a more focused search. Google's trying to give me a broad random search, so I'll spend too much time on here and click on too much stuff. So I'm trying to use Boolean to focus it. They won't let me use case sensitivity. I'd prefer to use case sensitivity, but Google wipes it out. Plus, in the middle of this string I'm searching, they probably put punctuation, which doesn't belong in the middle of a search string. So in any case, this is also the wrong number here, which they do on purpose too, to confuse people like me trying to run a query. But we can find the right number. At the bottom of here is the right number. There's a link, a tiny little link at the bottom, right here. Repeat the search with omitted results included. In other words, they're admitting they're not giving you a good search. and I had to put it in quotes just to get to there. So here's a good search of the word ship toys. So we're disambiguating it. What does ship toys mean? I would think it would be toy ships would be the actual appropriate word. So that's a big negative and a huge dilution to its conceptual value. So again, ship toys right here. So this is what I said, Google's giving me bad results. There's actually a colon here, even though I put quotes to look for an exact string. Google did not give me an exact string, and they won't give me case sensitivity, and they're forcing me to use Boolean. So in other words, Google is not trying to give me the best results, trying to give me the most results so they can sell more advertising, which is a huge deficit in their search engine. They say they do no evil. I would call this evil, wasting all their customers' time, and somebody should start a better search engine. Irrespective of that, you see, as we look through here, again, there's a colon here, so there's no string ship toys. That's not a string. So when we look at the results here, 187,000, it's totally incorrect because Google gave us bad results that they're making us hunt for. First, I had to put quotes. Then I had to scroll. Then I had to click on this link. Then I realized they didn't really give me good results because there's punctuation in the middle. And again, I can't use case sensitivity. So the good news about that is my competitors don't know what they're doing and they'll never figure out what's going on here. But we know what we're doing because I just explained it to you. So in any case, we know what ship toys means, which is nothing because nobody uses it in commerce. We're going to look at the logos, images, no logos, no company name, no slogans. There's a bunch of toy ships, but there's no ship toys. And again, like just for fun, we can figure out if toy ships has a lot of value. It's not really pertinent to what we're doing, but toy ships, baba, is a real expression. You can see it's being used at the logo, slogan, company name, toy ships. We didn't see any images with ship toys, but toy ships, we see a little. Still not a great name. Toy ships, it's worth, see there's a lot of hits here. People sell toy ships. They don't sell ship toys. That's not the word they use. So anyway, even if it was worded properly, it could also be diluted by singular versus plural. It could be toy ship. So even toyships.com is worth 3,000. Ship toys is worth extraordinarily little, even though a great guy asked me about it. Shiptoys.com, 1,000 bucks. Okay, we're going to do the next one. Hopefully everybody understands what we just did there. The next one that somebody submitted that's worth doing is stopspies.com by Bob Gurley. Thank you, sir. Stop spies. You know, again, there's a lot of ways to say that expression. Stop spying sounds better, but stop spies is pretty good. Nobody likes spies. So as far as disambiguating it, we know what stop spies mean, although it could mean several things. It could mean real spies from Russia walking around with umbrellas, poison-tipped umbrellas, which is actually what it's showing pictures of. Or it could mean like online hackers, which could also be Russians, Chinese, anonymous, all sorts of hackers and scammers and scumbags spy online and offline representing governments. So stop spies, again, are there any logos, slogans, corporate names, any reason why somebody must have it? So again, we're looking at what it means, disambiguating, which we know. We're looking at the breadth of how many people might want it and use it in their logos, their slogans, their business names, their products, their branding, their books, their music, their band name, their soccer team. Nobody uses stop spies for anything, but it is a cool expression. It is not used as a brand name. You can't brand around stop spies. And as we search through here, there's stop the spies. So again, that dilutes it because it could be stop spies, stop spying, stop the spy, stop spy, diluted, diluted, diluted. It wasn't that great in the first place. And we're done with it. It's not that great. Nothing personal, of course. Stopspies.com is worth 2,000. I hope you guys have some better stuff for me on this list. See what else is going on here. I have a list on the side that I can do if we don't have anything good here. So Reutilize, that sounds really bad. Mr. J's, that might be good, Stephen. I'll try that in a second. We have VBroker and Mr. J's. Fashioners, plungers.com. Okay, we have some good stuff to do. Thank you very much. So I'll start with VBroker. I'm going to go quickly because my time is limited. I'm going to get through the next handful and be done. So we're going to do a VBroker, plungers, Mr. J's, cold remedies. Thought we did that one before. Hey, ship toys, drop shipping for toys is what Hal's saying. Yeah, shipping maybe could be worth an extra 1,000 more than what I said. Okay, so in any event, I'm going to do VBroker first. What does it mean? Virtual broker. So that could be a virtual broker of any sort of thing. You would need to find out the breadth, how many people use that in business. We already know Google's scamming us and this isn't the right number of results. Google should do it right and not do any evil like they promised us. So the right number is 11,000 scores in Google, which is a medium number. It's a good number. It means there's some branding surrounding this expression. And so the question is, how many? What's the breadth? We can see VBroker 120 from NetScout. We don't really know what it means. VBroker management system, still part of NetScout. So this is a software from one company. So as far as the breadth goes, it's only one company. One company, no breadth. Still one company. You can see there's all one company, one company, one company. There might be something else going on here in the Amazon App Store. It doesn't look terribly exciting at first glance. So, sounds like a cool name, but not very cool. So again, let's just double check and see if I missed anything obvious here. So I'm doing this quick. This isn't the way we normally do it. Just a quick and dirty thing. They have a trademark. Theoretically, they could sue you, but that would only be if you were competing with the same line of business. If you were selling something different, like domain names or advertising, it wouldn't be a legitimate suit, although never stopped anybody from suing anybody before or registering a UDRP, Uniform Dispute Resolution Policy by ICANN in order to dispute domains that you think have been improperly disposed upon, sold, whatever, offered for sale. So in any event, this VBroker thing is pretty cool. We basically know what it means. It's this software hardware package. It could mean something else, but nobody's using it for anything else. The breadth is it's only one company. The depth is pretty good because they look like they have a lot of money. And therefore, we know that VBroker.com is worth $4,000. But I'd take 3. Because again, there's no breadth. There's no other buyer. If they offer something, you better take the money. But I wouldn't take too little. That undermines your whole credibility, and then they want less and less, and it undermines you for the next deal. Then the brokers start talking about how you're discounting everything. So you do need to do discounts if necessary, but you know, you should have a decent price starting out. So there shouldn't be a reason to discount too much. So we did VBroker. We're going to do plungers.com. That's a dictionary word, very powerful and very easy to spell. And everybody knows what it means. Plus it could mean other stuff other than the plungers that go with plumbing. We see plungers here. For argument's sake, there's $20 million worth of plungers sold in the world a day. I have absolutely no idea. I'm just making something up. But the point is that there's 10,000 brands of plungers right here. It means more right off the bat than merely a toilet plunger, because you can see all these things are called plungers also. So there's a lot of plungers. A lot of people sell plungers. There's a ton of money in plungers. They're sold over Amazon. They're sold in hardware stores, Walmart. They're sold all over the world. Somebody's making a lot of money on them. And again, somebody could start a new company, like they're starting the world's largest scuba diving company, and it's called plungers.com, and you can sign up for $5 online tomorrow. So the point being is that it's a conceptual brand name. It's an actual literal thing in multiple respects. So we know what it means. It means a lot. It's easy to say. It's easy to spell. It goes in the dictionary. The breadth is a ton of companies could use it for their existing products, or people could invent new products and services and use it. The breadth is very broad. The depth is very deep. And therefore, it fits all the criteria of being an awesome, very expensive domain name. So having said that, we have to decide what the actual correct number is. So plungers.com, Ari, I don't even know if you're still here. It looks like Ari dropped, so he's a professional domain appraiser and expert, so I was gonna ask his opinion, but he can type it here. Plungers.com is definitely worth over 100,000 bucks. So I would say it's worth 150,000. And take 75 plus. Awesome domain, the domain of the day for sure. Okay, we're gonna do Mr. J's, which again, first thing we do is disambiguate it. What does it mean? You know, it's the name of a bar or a restaurant. And we can see right here, clothing store. This is cool, this Google drill down, I think you guys can see with me. Mr. J's menu, hours. So the main thing is it's a restaurant. Again, it could be spelled a different way by spelling it out, M-I-S-T-E-R, which is actually the correct brand name of this corporation, is spelling it out. So we don't have an exact match there. We have an inexact match. And people get confused because MR, technically speaking, you know, would need a period, but you can't put a period in a domain name unless you're using a funky name. So also you have to decide, you know, if you're putting an apostrophe in here for your search, you can't use a period, you can't use an apostrophe. So that causes a little bit of confusion. Plus it could be spelled out Mr. J's. Having said that, it's easy, it's simple, and they make an awesome bagel. Mr. J's Bagels. Mr. J's Kitchen. So again, it's all about restaurants. Mr. J's this, Mr. J's that. It's pretty cool. Again, this could be MRJS, could be an acronym for some global mega corporation who would pay more than Mr. J's hot dogs or whatever he sells. So here's Mr. J's menu. Looks pretty cool, but he doesn't have any money. At least not enough for me, because I'm going to charge him a lot. There's a lot of Mr. J's, so that's awesome. So again, we know what it means. It means whatever you want it to mean. Some dude named Mr. J. The breadth is, it's a massive breadth. If you look here at all the logos and slogans and things, there's 10 restaurants. The bagel thing's the most popular. There's Mr. J's Condoms, homemade. I mean, who doesn't need a homemade condom? Mr. J's Bagels, Mr. J's Kitchen, Mr. J's this guy, tamales and chili. That's my place right there. Some vegetarian tamales and chili. Mr. J's this. That's a strip club. Mr. J's kiwi, candy, blow up stuff, milk. Sounds horrific. But the good news is Mr. J's has massive breadth. 100 different companies use it. A classroom. It's crazy. This is a great, great name, which I had no idea. Now, again, we can spell it differently, just MRJS. See if there's anything else going on here. So MRJS, again, that's a whole new thing here. Not even Mr. J's. More breadth, all kinds of stuff going on here. So this is a perfect example of domain investing right here, because if you wanted to buy those other names, if you wanted to buy plungers, you'd probably have to pay a lot of money, but you could buy this name or a name equivalent to this probably for a couple $100 if you went to the right auction place. A 4-letter domain name that doesn't mean anything until you research it. So the people selling it usually don't do any research. So this name has a very, very broad breadth. We're going to talk about the depth in a second. It's a very broad breadth. You could buy this name or one similar to this for a few $100. But the good news is it has depth also. Some of these are really good companies and all kinds of ideas. And it's also very competitive, which creates depth, because there's not 4 or 5 companies that need it. There's 100 companies that need it. So you can hold on to it forever. They're always going to need it. they're always going to make you low offers. You're going to say no, 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 till somebody pays you the right price. So what is the right price for a name that has this incredible breadth? And the answer is the right price is $30,000 for mrjs.com. I wouldn't discount it because it's going to go up in value and there's too many people that need it. So that's an awesome one. That's an awesome case study of how to do a domain appraisal that we just did there, explaining, about Google, about how different ways of looking at it. Even though it's not a very exciting name on the face of it, it has such a grand breadth and a decent depth with any one of these people that it's a domain that's totally in the money. And this is how you really want to invest in domains: a 4-letter domain that you can buy super cheap, that's worth much more than you paid for it. It's going to go up in value forever. So you should get into it and buy as many of those as possible if the price is right. So I'm going to do 1 or 2 more and then you guys are off the hook. I did plungers. I did VBroker. Fashioners I did not do, and cold remedies. Okay, those are the last 2, fashioners and cold remedies. Saved that one for later by cutting it out, so I didn't forget it. Okay, so we have to put it in quotes, and the question is, what does it mean? We're disambiguating it. Let's go, before we go to images, we're gonna just say, what's fashioners? Obviously relates to something about fashion industry. It's actually a dictionary word that I wasn't familiar with, which is awesome. It's easy to say or spell. I mean, even without knowing what it means yet, specifically, we know it's the fashion industry, and somebody said, hey, fashioners, and you'd probably know how to spell it. So it's nice and simple. It's a good word. It's a dictionary word. I should look it up a lot. Here's some synonyms for it. It means an artist, a builder, a creator, a designer. Oh, they fashion stuff. Well, okay, that makes sense. They build stuff. They create it. Like an architect is a fashioning, not the fashion industry. So it means 2 different industries related to creating stuff and related to the fashion industry. So that right there is in the money. So again, it's a dictionary word, easy to say and spell. It's very short. It means a lot to a lot of people. So again, with respect to the breadth, we know there's 2 whole industries. Then the question is, are there more industries, and how many participants within those industries might be potential buyers of this domain name to understand its value? So again, fashioners is cool. There's a lot of action. Google gave us almost 1 million results, which is the right number. I'm going to go to images, which is where the action is, so we can get a better idea of the breadth. So looking good so far. There's a store that has a high lease and a lot of money. There's this thing, whatever it is, some blog from Europe with whatever's going on there. Again, if we had more time, we'd drill in and study these things. We have more tools that we use. We have other appraisers help me. So we're just doing quick and dirty here. This is an imperfect way of appraising, but the idea is to teach you the basics of doing it by yourself. So you don't need me. You can fish by yourself, and I can fish at the beach by myself and not online. So anyway, this thing's way cool. Stop something, do something. Stop wishing, start living. That's my favorite one so far. Cool logo. So fashioners is a good thing. Somebody's trademark in India, it looks like. Details of trademark, skirts. See, it says right here, Chandigarh is a region in India, which is totally irrelevant to us. So anyway, what's going on here? Fashioners is a way cool word. Somebody could start a new business. There's businesses and stores that already exist that made a mistake for not owning it because it keeps going up in value day to day, year to year. So somebody's in the money here. So the breadth it's medium breadth. There's a decent amount, not a huge amount, but again, there's books, there's different types of services, stores. I'd say a very good breadth. Not excellent, but very good breadth. So that's a good thing. It's a great word. It means stuff. It has a very good breadth. So now we need to know the depth. The answer is it has excellent depth. We don't know how much this company's worth. It might be worth a couple $1 million. There might be other ones worth a couple $1 million. In 10 years from now, one of these competitors using the exact same expression, fashioners, mistakenly doesn't own the domain. Eventually, they might have a $10 million corporation and be begging you to purchase this domain if they're smart. They should buy it today because the sooner they buy it, the lower the price is. Right now, people don't understand domains, even after all of these years, so they're still dramatically underpriced. The best.coms, this is one of the best.coms. This domain is great. It'll go up in value forever if you buy it at the right price. Other domains of low quality are totally useless. You should delete them. They won't go up in value. But the point being is if you want to buy a great domain, the sooner you buy it, the better, because it's going to cost more next year. I'm going to make sure of it. In this case, we have a great name. It has a lot of breadth. It has a lot of depth. I would personally sell it for a lot of money because of all these cool companies. And again, a new company could be a new fashion company, could be a $1 billion fashion company. We don't know for sure. They might need this domain. So the answer is fashioners.com is worth $50,000 every day of the week. But since it's kind of an awkward expression that a lot of people don't use, I would take 35K at the lowest and let it ride from there. It'll go up every year. Great name. We're doing one more. And of course I forgot it, but I saved it in my pasting. So I'm going to paste it if I didn't ruin my pasting. So I'm lost with all these other screens at the moment. Okay, I got Google here. I'm going into my quotes and I'm doing a paste plain text cold remedies. See, that's why I saved it. So I didn't have to memorize anything. Cold remedies for infants, for kids. Again, what does it mean? We know exactly what it means. It's medicine for people that have the cold. Although if it said COVID remedies, might be worth more at the moment, trending expressions. Cold remedies is worth more in the long run. In the short run, coronavirus and COVID remedies is probably worth more. So in any event, cold remedies is an idea and expression. We know what it means. There's an industry behind it that sells $1 billion worth of product every day, presumably, just guessing. However, it's not the name of any brand. You don't say, hey, my brand name is called Cold Remedies. You could, but nobody does because we're looking right here. So there's no logans, no slogans, but it's a powerful medical idea that people spend a fortune on. It's basically a dictionary word. It's a very popular expression that goes together. It's not a made-up expression. It's a perfectly accurate expression with a lot of meaning and a lot of value to it. So again, 6.2 million hits in Google. So we're talking, this is a very, very relevant expression. It's in the medical field. It means something to people. So we know what it means. The breadth is not as much as you would think because, again, people aren't using it as a logo or a slogan or the name of their corporation, the name of their brand, but they are selling the product Cold Remedies. A bunch of multi-billion-dollar companies are selling cold remedies. So the breadth isn't that great, but the depth is very, very good. And again, it's another case of a domain that will never go down in value. Buy the best.com domains and nothing else. Don't buy any other extensions. Don't buy shitty.com, just the best.com, because then you know you're making a sound, safe investment for your family, for your business. And even if you can't profit on it in the short term or sell it, you're in the money in the long term. Coldremedies.com will go up in value each year as long as you establish a fair appraisal today for it, which is what we're doing right now. So again, Cold Remedies, not a ton of depth, but a good amount of breadth, not a ton of breadth, but a good amount of depth. A great word in the medical field. The medical stuff is worth a lot. People do a lot of advertising in the medical field, particularly for cold remedies. It might mix in with coronavirus remedies. So therefore, it has an extra trending value in that regard. So this is it, coldremedies.com. I wonder what you guys think. Already dropped out. So coldremedies.com. Again, the word remedies isn't that cool. Also, you could say cold remedy, singular. You could say cold solution and a whole bunch of other words. So it could be diluted, but still extraordinarily cool and valuable, and it's worth 30,000 bucks. And it will go up in value because of the nature of this type of domain. So there you have it. We did it. Does anybody have any comments or questions or anything else? Because we're 35 minutes over. I'm going to look and see if I can see anything going on here. Okay, guys, you're the best. Thank you so much for joining my live stream. My guests are awesome. I have more awesome guests next week. I'm going to keep inviting new people, and we're going to have a great time and learn a lot of stuff. You guys can comment on the wall and ask questions. Ask questions to Irina and Ari, who are the guests. They'll post stuff, we'll post stuff, and keep the conversation going on the wall itself. So thank you very much. Have a blessed day and week. Stay out of trouble, and we'll talk to you soon.